Hello, I've had this Edgestar dehumidifier for a few years, and I normally do take this out every few days, and I've even washed it down and wiped it down. But I noticed that there was a smell in my living room, and I decided to see if there was a way to take the facing off so that I could clean the inside. There's obviously a lot of junk inside, and it smells kind of moldy and musky in my living room. So I have that chemist nose that detects those smells. So then, of course, I take the bucket out and drain it, and every so often I'll wipe it down with a little bit of diluted vinegar and water, or even a little diluted bleach. But right now I'm going to be after finding the way to take the facing off. Whoops, so that I can, I want to have the facing off so that I can clean this better than I normally do. So most days I'm not able to get to the inside. So I've taken out the bucket and I've taken out the filter, and I notice there's a lot of junk. And even in the inside, I decided to go ahead. I'm going to be cleaning this more thoroughly, and even up on the top. There's a lot of yucky mold stuff that's accumulating. So what I did is I figured out how to get the facing off by getting the screws that are holding the facing on. Okay, so here underneath, on each side, I've taken off a screw from each side, and here on this side. The inner screws that are holding on to this cover, the facing cover on the outside. Then I looked around the side to look for the screws that are holding on the top, and I found that there are depressed screws inside. When you go through this slot on the side, you can put your Phillips screwdriver in, and you can just lefty-loosey loosen it up. You can do that on each side. I want to keep my home comfortable. It's 4th of July time here in Houston, Texas. So what I have to do is go through the side, and I did find the depressed screw on the side. There's a place for a screw on each side of this, and all I have to do is loosen this, and I just need a long enough Phillips screwdriver that goes all the way in, and that way I can loosen the screw and it will come out. And that way, when I do that, it'll allow me to be able to get the side, the front side, the face of this dehumidifier off. So basically, I just loosen this lefty-loosey so I can loosen the screw and take that out on each side on the top. This is after I've taken off the screw that was on the inner side that's holding on to the bottom of the facing. All right, so I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to get ready to do a lot of cleaning. So I'm going to put on my one of my COVID-19 masks. And yes, there's fireworks out here because it's 4th of July time here in Houston, Texas. So there were clips that are on the face that come out of each square. Here inside there's a square, and on the other side is a square where you have the clips that were inside. Okay, so all right, so I slide this out, and so the last screws were the ones on each side that I loosened well enough so that I could pull this out on the top. On the top there are these tube-like connectors, and those slide in to the opposite side where we loosen the last two screws. Remember, those screws are on the depressed area inside, so you have to use a long screwdriver on each side to loosen those screws. Okay, now that I have the face off, now I can see what my nose has been telling me. I've been detecting that there's all kinds of terrible smells, and that's not a good thing to have. So now I'm going to take my, there were days that I would wipe this down with brushes, but evidently couldn't reach the inside. And so I had looked around for videos to show me how to get in and do this, and I couldn't find any, so I figure I'll do one. Yeah, that's what we vets do. Yeah, salute to all the U.S. military vets out there. Anyway, I'm going to be busy cleaning, and I guess I'll show you a picture of what I do. So I'm going to be wearing my mask, and then I'm going to slowly try to contain this. So I have towels that are old, junky, bleached towels that are no good. I've got a brush. I've got some washcloths that I'm going to use. I have a diluted bleach solution, and so I'm going to be trying to take care of business here and go and put this in the tub and wash this out really good, wipe it down, and use a sprayer on it. Then I'll be collecting this from the front, taking this off gently with brush, and of course, just like any AC or anything, you don't want to damage any of the area inside, but this looks like it's just going to come off. Whoa, my goodness, it's just rolling right off. But, I mean, that's pretty filthy. Once again, I have a good chemist nose that picks up on smells, and I knew. So, looks like they used to have some kind of cover on the front. I'm not sure if that was some kind of little cover, but it's all corroded and crumbled off. So, I figure I've got some work to do to clean this up. And now that I know how to take the front face off, I can come back and clean this more regularly, like maybe 3 or 4 times a year instead of this once after owning this device for several years. Okay, I'll be back in a little bit and we'll take a picture of the items that have been cleaned up. So I'm definitely hosing down all of these items in this shower that I have. And then after I get all of the junk off of it, I'm gonna wipe it down with some either diluted vinegar, that might be less harmful than diluted bleach. But it definitely was pretty dirty. Gotten a lot of stuff off. All that stuff came out of there. I'm going to take this off with my gloved hand so I don't push this back into the face. I imagine there used to be some type of slim filter in there, but this is all pretty much gross. A lot of fuzz and stuff. Oh yeah, we're having fun outside with the fireworks. Yes, lots of fun 4th of July fireworks. Okay, I'm working with both hands, so I'm going to set this down. So I'm going to have to check that site and see what kind of filter they have, and I take the measurements on this and make sure I get the right filter. Getting this old toothbrush, get some of this out gently. I don't want to push this stuff back in where the coils are, but see, I'm getting all this stuff out of here. I'll keep working on this. Alrighty, this is looking a lot better than it did earlier. So of course I'm not going to be putting a lot of, I'm not scraping deeply into this wherever the coils are. I don't want to mess up any of their work either, but I did see that there was a lot of dust accumulating here. Also, don't forget to clean. So just take up here, when you reach and you pull this out, that area has a lot of that molded stuff gathering around it. So if you're gonna do this, I recommend, I only use one dollar store toothbrush, but if I had to do this next time, I'll probably get a couple. Probably won't be as dirty next time when I get to this again in a few months. It won't be nearly as bad, but definitely anything that I'm wiping from the inside, and inside back in here, into the right corner where they have the tube, I guess where the water is also coming down, that goes into that bucket. So, you know, just be wiping all of this down in here on these areas. And what I'm using here is just a little diluted, very little bit of bleach and some water. I'm not comfortable trying to saturate this area with anything. I think once it's clean, that smell, I don't really notice that smell that much anymore. But I'm giving everything that I can a wipe down. Then I'll tend to the bucket, and then I'll put everything back together. Then I'll have to clean this tile floor. That's okay. That's the thing about tile floors, you can disinfect, especially when you have pets. Okay. So far, so good. Of course, the whole thing's unplugged. I would never do this if it were plugged. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that the clips go in each square. And after I pop this in and make sure it's seated properly, then I'll start to put the side screws back on each side. So there it is. It's a pretty clean. Oh my goodness, it just feels so much cleaner than before. And definitely I'll get to have this and have it set on timers. It works fine. But that was a good thing to do. I hope it works out for you. Good luck.